Welcome to High Ground. My name is Tanner, and one more Gamers8 video here. So the grand final finally took place, and I guess we also have one of the semifinals to talk about because it hadn't yet concluded when I made that previous video. So, all right, let's just go to the bracket. There's some stuff up here that we'll come back to, but let's take a look at the bracket first, right? This is everything that's already happened. If you haven't already watched one of these videos, you can just see the bracket here, or you can go back and watch the previous ones, whatever. Probably if you're watching this one, you watched the previous ones. The only things I haven't actually talked about are Wild versus Falcons, which was in progress when I recorded the previous video. I just my time frame didn't line up in a way that I could cover it afterwards, and it was 1-1 on maps. It was 1-1 in terms of round count on the final map, and Falcons ended up taking it. So overtime on the last map. So pretty exciting series, you know, a pretty close clubhouse, not so close chalet, and then Villa goes not all 15 rounds, but it does go to overtime. Falcons end up taking it. I think not Corey. Aces went nuts in this game. He dropped like 18 kills. One of the players on Falcons also had like 17, and then on the flip side, I think one player on each team had 1 kill for most of the game, maybe even at the very end of the game. So massive disparities in kills. That's a pretty big heartbreaker for Aces that he wasn't able to secure the win, having such a massive game in that final map. But Falcons to the grand final, and I think that's something people didn't really expect. And so Wild versus Falcons, these are probably the two underdog teams coming into the event. Certainly everyone else is a T1 team. They play in the top league for their respective region, and Wild the T3 team, and then Falcons don't even have the ability to play in a top league because their region, the Middle East, North Africa region, it just isn't represented in any of the regions. So, you know, NA, LATAM, EU, and APAC, they don't have a way to play in any of those leagues. And so I think after their performance here, a lot of people are asking for some potential representation in terms of T1 play for the region, because, you know, they were hanging with some top dogs, of course, playing against Wild here. This is a T3 team. They did get 3-0'd by BDS, 2-0'd by BDS here, but still they were very competitive in all the games they played. They also beat MIBR. They beat TSM. Let's not discount those facts. So yeah, certainly Wild and Falcons were the success stories of this event, but of course you do have to mention BDS. Their first event, or their first international event win ever. They won at least one European major, but again, international is what we're talking about here. And the first win for Europe internationally since Pro League Season 10 back in late 2019, I think. So it's been quite a long time. And sure, this isn't an official win. This isn't a major or a Six Invitational, but you know, there was quite a lot of money on the line here, and there were T1 teams vying for that prize pool. So, you know, maybe count it, maybe don't, but still, this is a great boon for BDS, who their fans have been calling for a roster change for a long time, and maybe that really has no bearing on what the org or the team will actually do, but, you know, maybe this will put them in the good graces of their fan base just a little bit more. And, well, probably not, because even I was just on Reddit earlier, and people are still like, oh, you know, they won the event, but they still got to make roster changes. They have to win a real event, whatever. Okay, not really what we're here to discuss. Yeah, let's take a look at how it went down, though. So 8-7, 8-7, 7-5. So max overtime, max regulation. Very close maps, but Falcons just were not able to pull it out. And BDS, I guess, even more redemption for what happened to them in Charlotte, where they just didn't close out the games against Oxygen. They were up like 5-6 or 4-6 on one map, and then the other number on the other map, and then Oxygen came back and took it to overtime, and then took the victory in overtime. And now, you know, they secure overtime wins versus Liquid to make it to the grand final, and then in the grand final, they don't lose a map. And in fact, in the entire event, they didn't lose a map. So 2-0 here, 2-0 here, 2-0 here, 3-0 here. They played 9 maps, and they won every single map, and that's going to come into play in a minute when we talk about something. Note that Falcons played 3 maps here, 3 maps here, that's 6, and then they played 3 more here, makes 9. 2 more here is 11, 2 more here. They played 13 total maps over the course of 5 series. BDS played 9 maps over the course of only 4 series. That'll come up in just a second. But anything else I really want to talk about here? I mean, I've talked about all the teams before, and so mentioned Wild, mentioned Falcon, mentioned BDS. The only teams that I hadn't that are involved in the matches I hadn't yet talked about. So I think that's pretty much it. I mean, in terms of the bracket, so it's all laid out here. Feel free to eyeball it one last time. I'll even scroll down if you want to take a look at any of this. I mean, you can just come to the Liquipedia page if you want, but if you're too lazy to do so, you can pause the video and glance at some stats. So some stats really are what gets you going, and representation. Okay, so let's go back to the top and talk about one final thing here. So the awards, accolades by which some players earn some additional money. So MVP and most kills player, this was already known, but they added cost. I don't know if Liquipedia was just unaware of this fact and this was added, or if nobody was aware of this back and it was just added. I don't know, but this wasn't on here before. So MVP, Shaiko takes it home. Very, very obvious pick. The star player for BDS, always putting up numbers, whether that be at events, whether that be in EUL. So massive numbers from Shaiko at this event, but not the most kills. So this one is very controversial because, as I mentioned before, Shaiko played on 9 maps, 0 kills. A member of Falcons played on 13 maps, played in 5 series, and only outfragged Shaiko by 7 kills. Shaiko's KPR way higher. I'm not 100% sure what 0 kills was, but Shaiko's, I think KPR was 1.21 for the event, which is a gargantuan number. Sure, maybe a map here or there, a player puts up a 1.2 KPR, but to do it over the course of 9 maps in a top tier event like this is incredible. Shaiko, I mean, definitely one of the best players in the world, easily one of the best fraggers in the world, certainly in Europe, you know, by any measure that you and any standard that you measure him up to. He's one of the craziest players in the game. And you know, this metric was known. It's not like they just did it this last minute, but it does seem like KPR would be the better way to distribute this award. And then finally we have cost. So this one was added and it goes to Kaneo. So let me actually show you the Twitter post for these so we can just see the top 5. So here's for the kills. We have 0 kills taking it down, outfragging Shaiko by 7, and then a pretty massive gap between the 2 and any other player. And then we have 2 more players from Falcons, 1 more player from BDS. So all 5 of these players were in the grand final. It makes sense. They played more maps than anyone else. Certainly Falcons did. Not 100% sure how many maps. Every other team didn't count them up, but you know, BDS, because they never dropped a map, they played all pretty quick series. But okay, so you know, a lens here, whatever, so on and so forth. Let's go on to the other one. Cost. This one's a little bit interesting. Snake is actually the number 1 in terms of just the raw number, but he only played in 1 series. So you know, who's to say? Maybe if he played in the other 2 series, it would have gone down, would have gone up, would have stayed the same. If it stayed the same, that would have been good enough for the top cost in the tournament. But it goes to Kaneo, so that's got to feel pretty good. Not only did he get to play on this team, to sub in for BZ because BZ couldn't make it, but he and the rest of his team did pretty well, and he even gets to take home that additional $25,000. So good for him, just barely edging out Shaiko. So Shaiko could have had he was very close to winning this, and by another measure, he could have also won the most kills, and then he did win MVP. So yeah, Shaiko, what a tournament from him. Okay, so those are those. Let's go back to this one more time, and I'll go down the line and just mention the teams if you're not fully aware. First place went to BDS, second place Falcons, Team Falcons, and third place Wild and Team Liquid, joint third, fourth, I suppose. Fifth, sixth is TSM and Space Station, seventh, eighth, MIBR, and Damwon, and here are the corresponding amounts in terms of prize payout. And then of course each team also had a baseline $100,000 for, and I'm still not sure if this is given to the players, if it's just for the org, whatever the case is, but okay, so $100,000 there. And yeah, that was Gamers8. Pretty fun tournament to watch, and I've only heard good reports just on Twitter from all of the players, all of the people involved in participating in the tournament. So people are hoping for another one of these, and yes, even though it was controversial, it seemed like the actual handling of the tournament was quite good. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for Gamers8, and I suppose also for my coverage of Gamers8. Maybe if somebody puts out a full stats thing, which actually might already be out, I don't know. If I feel so inclined, maybe I'll do a stats thing, but probably not. This will probably be the final thing to talk about here. And okay, yeah, that's going to do it. So like, comment, subscribe, and with all of that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video.